What if I told you if you've ever run a dropshipping store before or you're just about to start dropshipping, there's actually a way where you can skip the grind process of getting $0 sales every single day and go straight to 10, 20 or 30K a month simply by stealing other people's stores. Just like this one here. You wouldn't believe me, right? And trust me, I didn't believe it either until I found out exactly how to repeatedly do this time and time again. But you might be wondering now, how can I actually steal somebody's store? You obviously can't do that and just take their sales straight away. Well, I'm not only going to show you how to steal somebody's store, but actually put a full operation team in place to go ahead and run that business so you're spending a minimal amount of hours every single week. And the thing is, you don't even need any experience to go ahead and do this. So this is how we're going to steal people's stores to get results like this, $135,000 in sales in just a couple of months, which I did at the end of last year. Now look, the thing is, most stores starting from zero don't look like this. So in case you don't believe me, here are a few statements from my Stripe, my Shopify, and my bank account as well, from showing this exact method in work. You see, we were able to achieve over $100,000 in sales on one of the stores, $10,000 a week on another, $3,000 a day. And we actually secured a payment, which I'm going to explain a little bit more about in bulk, for £53,000. And I imagine that's around $70,000, but I put it up on the screen. Now, the thing is, I've been drop shipping and been in e-commerce for a while now. Actually, since 2018, started selling slushy cups and actually exported candy from the US. So my store didn't really look like this. And this is how it actually began with. 0 sales, 0 orders, and 800 visitors. Now, for most people starting out dropshipping, this is what your store is going to look like, not like the slide before. The thing is, how do you actually guarantee sales every single time? Now, this is where it gets into the best part. This is fully from my experience, and all the information will be linked below in the description. But before you check out any of those docs, which I've linked in, and all you can do is just make a copy at the end, I want to ask you a question now. Do you think it's harder to lose $50,000 or to make $50,000? There's no trick question. It's pretty simple. If somebody's going to give you $50,000, it's going to be far easier to keep that. You can hide it somewhere. You can be able to hang on to that. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. Now, there's a major problem at the moment with lots of small businesses going unsold. And these are not just online, but almost in every single industry. But so many dropshipping store owners simply just see a decline in sales and shut down their store and go on to the next one. That leaves thousands or even tens of thousands of potential stores which could have been ran and scaled up, and simply people have just given up on them. So what if there was a way to steal these stores from shutting down, actually give the owner a win-win situation where you're able to take on a brand and scale it further, and the owner is going to be able to be paid out over a period of time? Well, that's exactly what I did, is started to acquire e-commerce brands in a very specified way. Now, you don't need $50,000 to go ahead and buy these stores, because people are in a very special situation where 80% of businesses go unsold. So you may be wondering, how are we actually going to find these stores? Now, I'm actually going to pop out of the presentation now and show you a few different ways which we can go ahead and find stores. The first are marketplaces. Now, this is one of the biggest ones. It's called Acquire.app. It is a paid service. It's more on the premium side of things, but there are a few other cheaper options which we can look at. All you have to do in this case is go over to all listings, and then you can sort by the type of business. Now, if you're looking for a smaller type of business under $250,000, this platform is free, but especially when you're looking to do more and more, I actually pay, I think, around $800 a year for this particular software to be able to look through and have early access to any businesses going live. Now, on the listings tab, all you have to do is go across to e-commerce, and then you want to put in some filters here. We're going to look for newest, so we can get in nice and early. On a revenue multiple, now this is the multiple which the business will be sold at. If the business is making $100,000 a year in revenue and it's at a 1x, the business price is $100,000. We want to keep that below a 4x multiple of revenue, with a minimum here of $20,000 in profit, like so. And ideally keep the age down to 3 years. Now we're going to click apply here, and we're going to have tons of different options, businesses which are all for sale. Now this is just one marketplace, and you can see the amount of potential opportunities here when we look at the store prices and how long they've been actually up for. This potential store here is making $196,000 a year in revenue, $88,000 in profit, and they're selling for $20K. They're virtually giving these away. But when I started in e-commerce, I was actually in school and I did not have $20,000 lying around, and I imagine you don't either, but there's a way we can get around this. Another marketplace which is a little bit more popular is Flippa. I'm not going to dive in too much, but there's plenty of listings there, especially on the cheaper side. Now the other way is using a tool like Miner, where you can actually go ahead and find products. It's a spy tool, so you can see how your competitors are actually doing and get a really good idea of what products are actually trending at the same time. Now, if you're going to go ahead and start a dropshipping store, this is a great way to find products from the get-go, but we can also use it to go ahead and find businesses which are currently running ads. So here we can see the top ads for Facebook, Pinterest, and TikTok of the day, and these all have different stores. So we can go ahead onto the link here, go to the shop itself, and then we can see what product they're selling and go ahead and send a cold email from there. Now, you're gonna have to be really careful how you approach these brands because you don't want to make it seem like you're a huge venture capital firm and they're about to be paid out $5 million for a store that's making $5,000 a month. And now the other way is through Facebook groups. Now, I have my own Facebook group here. You can just type up e-commerce business for sale by owner, go ahead and join it. It is a private group, so it's all limited with who actually go ahead and joins, but it's totally free. And if you just leave on the note that you're joining from the YouTube channel, I'll make sure to accept everybody who goes ahead and say that they came from YouTube directly. And from here, you can see lots of businesses for sale directly by the brand owners themselves. Now, a group like this is great to network between buyers and sellers, and I'm going to explain on later why you can actually sell a business in a group just like this. So now we've established where to go ahead and actually find the businesses. How do you actually go ahead and outreach them and go ahead and put a deal together? First of all, we want to be treated seriously. Now, you don't want any seller to think you're a huge venture capital firm, you're just going to splurge around money, and price doesn't really matter with anything, because that's just going to lead the seller of the business down the wrong road, and it's unlikely any deal will actually go ahead and happen. Now, if you've gone ahead and ran any past stores before, you want to go ahead and show examples that you have the competency to go ahead and run their brand, as some owners are pretty emotionally attached to how successful their business is, but for another reason, which I explain in the structuring of the deal. Now, if you can do a custom plan for the business, especially later down the line, once you've got some basic terms agreed, that would be great to show that you're generally interested and see where you could potentially grow. Now, if you're looking for a business to buy and they're on every single platform, they're running ads on TikTok, Google, Meta, Pinterest, and they're still not getting good sales, what can you actually do to go into the business and actually change things around? Maybe launch new email campaigns, maybe launch into a different country. But if you're already doing everything, it's going to be a hard one to go ahead and propose something where you can grow the sales even further. So try to find something that's doing well on one or two channels that you can simply expand out more and more. Maybe they haven't touched paid ads yet. Maybe they haven't done organic on TikTok or affiliates. So there's plenty of different ways to go ahead and expand. Once you've got that information over to the seller, you're going to go ahead and draft a thing called an LOI. Now, this is called a letter of intent. It's a non-binding agreement, so neither the buyer or the seller needs to actually stick to the agreement, but it's one way of progressing the deal a little bit further. All an LOI does is simply outline the terms of the business, how you're going to finance the acquisition, and for some sellers, they're going to make you draft an LOI before you even see any of the financials. Now, I'll show you right now what an LOI would actually need to look like. I put together this template here. I'll just leave it in the description of the video as well. Simply just make a copy, fill in all the information here that I've put together, and then send it back to the business once you're all done. Secondly, you want to prepare a simple Google form like this. And again, you can just take all the questions and information here that you can send out to any business owner. This is a great way to qualify how good they are. You can keep everything in a Google Sheets and go ahead and outreach again and again. There are a couple things that I would add, maybe phone numbers, SMS marketing, any of that. But once you've got this basic information together, you can decide whether to go forward or not, just based off this. Now, once you've got all of this together, you're actually going to prepare a thing called an SPA, which stands for a seller purchase agreement. This one is a legally binding document, though you can easily have clauses to get out of. So you know once you've signed, there's still certain ways to go around and change things, especially later on in the due diligence phase. This contract is pretty similar to the LOI, so you don't need to really worry about how to word it, and you can simply use a site like ChatGPT to go ahead and format one pretty basic, or simply just get a template from online and make a few amendments from there. Now, if you can afford to do so, use premium marketplaces and accounts. You can do that for pretty much any marketplace. And if you can verify some type of funds, that would also be a way to show that you're really interested and that you're a serious buyer and content as well. Though you're not going to need much to actually put anything down to buy the business, but you just want to show that you're serious enough to go ahead and move forward further. Now, a normal business purchase looks a little like this, where the purchase price is $50,000, the down payment on closing is $50,000. The seller then stays on for 30, 40, 50 days, and you try to learn off them in that short period of time. And then you have 12 to 48 months or even beyond to go ahead and pay that off with no guarantee of sales at all. Now, the way that I've been executing acquisitions is something a little similar to this, but you can actually do it with a security payment of 0% down. You're just going to have to negotiate your way about those terms. So simply put, we would have a $50,000 purchase price here, and this would be the amount featured on the LOI. A security payment of 5%, in this case is $2,500. You can simply do this from any source as long as the business is actually generating any income. From there, the seller remains very active in the business for the next 30 to 90 days, aiming to train up your contracted and freelance team. Now, you want to make sure you're as least involved as possible, just communicating back and forth from your freelance team and the owner of the business themselves to bring the two together. Now, you're going to want to make sure your price is actually higher than what everybody else is offering cash, because the seller of the business is not going to be paid out in a full cash sum straight away, and instead is going to be paid out over time. There are other things that you can do with things called KPIs, key performance indicators, where if the business reaches a certain amount, they're going to get an extra payout or bonus. Now, for any business owner who actually believes in the business, this might not not be a big risk for them. Normally I would go anywhere from 20 to 50% above the standard market rate of the business right now and other offers that they're getting through. Then in step 5, you're going to seller finance the business at a 60-40% split of net profit. Meaning if you make $100 a month, the seller is going to be getting $60 towards the loan, and you're going to be keeping 40 to go ahead and manage the business. Now you're going to have different costs with freelancers and contractors, but we'll get that onto a later stage. Then after 12 to 24 months, all your set term ends, the seller would have been paid out their amount plus any bonuses, and they will walk away with a fully paid off business, which has been paid off monthly, and you just acquired yourself an asset worth over $50,000 now after your changes are made by literally putting $2,500 down. Now, if you don't have $2,500, you could simply do this for a business worth 20K, 10K, or even just $5,000. But you're going to be getting something far more valuable than starting something exactly from zero in the first few days. Now, if you're worried about the security side of things, you can keep your deal secured on a site called escrow.com. It's not sponsored at all, but simply you pay into the escrow, the seller puts all of their assets into the escrow. Then once you're both happy, they're both released, and that's the end of the transaction. Simply for anything smaller, sort of around $2,000 to $3,000, you can just use PayPal goods and services. Now, right now, the best sites to build a freelance team of web developers, media buyers, and a virtual assistant are Online Jobs PH, which is a Filipino job site, Upwork, which you can just simply put together a job list in there, and actually Twitter, which is now called X, is about to launch a new hiring platform. Fiverr is another decent way for any one-off tasks, but you want to make sure to ask plenty of questions to your applicants and ask them to do some type of free task as well, so you can go ahead and actually decide who's good and who's just saying they're good. So a business that I was able to acquire actually increased 40% in sales. We added different streams of marketing, and this is the business here. Now I've blurred out the name in the top right because I can't share any of those details, but you can see just from the 1st of February to the 31st of March, we've been able to increase sales by 81%, leading to just over $100,000 in sales by adding on different channels of marketing. We're now launching SMS, email campaigns, previously ran on just one ad platform. Now we've launched onto multiple platforms such as Meta. Now we're going on to TikTok ads, and we're looking at different email campaigns and flows as well. So they're just simple changes. We're looking at expanding to different countries as well now. So there's plenty of things that you can go ahead and do, which are very, very simple to go ahead and execute. So now you know how to successfully steal and operate someone's dropshipping store and grow their business even further without putting any money down in the whole process. Now, if you want to find an easy way to go ahead and grow products further when you go ahead and acquire a business or with your current dropshipping store now, you can go ahead to vidx.io and get your first ad created for just $1. And besides that, if you want to see my $151,000 a year side hustle, check out this video here. So see you in the next one. Ciao.